Hey, what's up everybody? It's Joe from GadgetryTech, and this is going to be a very different video format today. This is kicking off a huge series of everything about this room. So I wanted to do something to kind of serve as a guide for people looking to build their own home theater, or at least know what kind of things to research and look for, as well as just provide something new and fresh because I've been really excited about this. Now the audio, if you're paying attention compared to my normal recordings, the audio doesn't sound great in this video. This room is very much untreated. In fact, when I do the clap test, you're going to hear a lot of before and afters as this video series progresses and we hear the room improvements. So that's going to be a topic item as well. The reason why I'm starting with an intro video is because I want to capture some of your feedback and questions to kind of shape the future of this series. I'm going to explain everything that I'm doing here in a moment, but if after watching this video there are certain things you want to learn about or see in this home theater series, shoot a comment below and I'll find the best way I can to integrate that into this video format. So having said all that, the goal of this is to transform a space for my family. So this was always the kids' playroom. They're starting to get a little bit older. They're not starting to play as much with some of their toys, but we do family moving night from time to time. So I wanted to transform this space and make it kind of fun and fresh and exciting and still keep it there. So there's going to be a mix of furniture and all of that to accommodate. So this room is very white right now, and to kind of explain the gear, we're transforming this into a dark space. I'm going to be painting the walls and the ceiling a dark black, basically iron ore from Sherwin-Williams. And anytime you're dealing with a projector situation or a large screen, in this case we'll be doing a projector, you want to go with a flat paint. Flat paints aren't going to be as reflective. They're pretty easy to treat as well. And it just helps cut some of the glare if you have a lot of walls around the screen. Now, room treatment doesn't just end with paint and color. Acoustic treatment is the biggest impact you can make for any room with speakers. It's quite shocking how much you can transform your space. So this room right now, I'm going to talk to you on the microphone that is mounted to the camera. It's a Rode shotgun mic. And this is what I sound like on that. Very echoey. You can hear quite a bit of reverb. That is pretty atrocious. And what happens is if you're watching movies or shows or whatever it is, or even just having a conversation with someone, having a room that's this much of an echo takes away from the focus and clarity. So you can have the best speakers in the world, but if there's this echo and reverb issue that you're dealing with, well, that's going to take away a lot from your movie experience. So we're going to do some wall treatment in here. And wall treatment can come from a variety of things. This is the Sonoluck panel, and I purchased these at Costco. So I have enough to do a large wall and then some. In fact, I bought a lot of extra just in case. So these are 23.6 by 23.6 inch panels, and they have this kind of thick felt background and some natural wood slats on the front. So for the back wall behind the couch, which the TV is going to be facing this way, or the projector, this is going to cover that whole wall, and it will help cut down some of the reverbs. Now, whenever you go with thin wall treatment, it's not going to do as good of a job reducing reverbs and reflection issues with lower frequencies, so it's always a balancing act. Part of this is definitely an aesthetic. To help treat the rest of the room and get something more robust, we're partnering up with ATS Acoustics. Their packages are in transit right now because I have to paint the room first anyway. But we're going to do a mix of panels. Part of why you see all of this blue tape on the wall is because I was kind of speccing out some designs with ATS to find the right panels that would fit the wall space so it still looks good but also performs to the level that we need it. In addition to that, the back wall where the wood slat wall is going, we're going to go with some acoustic art panels. So those I'm really excited to show you. I think it's going to help break up just this giant wood wall and kind of tie into the whole movie theme. So we have some kind of vintage prints for a few movies that my family enjoys, including my wife, because I wanted her to have a part of this. So that'll kind of dress it up. Now, in addition to wall treatment, in addition to paint and all of that, there are other things you can do to kind of jazz up the audio space. Obviously, acoustic panels and diffuser panels are great, but even things like carpet, a couch with several pillows, thick curtains, trees, artificial trees or real, all of these things can help break up some of the sound waves and reflection of your room. So if you have a very open and empty space and things just don't sound right, it's likely not your speakers. Start with looking at options to fix the room. I will do a video specifically focused on the acoustic treatment side. This is just a precursor to that so you can kind of understand the importance of it. So to support the video side of things, I mentioned I'm using a projector, and the projector of choice for kicking off this series is the Valerion Vision Master Pro 2. Really highly regarded projector. It retails for about $3,000, and it's kind of in the sweet spot for really amazing performance without paying absurd amounts of money, because really high-end projectors can get into the tens of thousands of dollars. So I wanted to start with something that kind of rides that middle area. I might be comparing it to the Max in a future series, so keep an eye out for that. And again, this whole segment will have its own separate video just on the projector side. As far as what the Valerion projector is going to send an image to, there are a lot of things people can do for getting an image to show up on the wall. You can paint your wall white. Some people do white sheets, and there's all kinds of things that people will experiment with to get a projector on the wall. When you're doing a real purposeful home theater setup, you really want to invest into a higher quality screen. Again, if you're paying all this money for a projector, I wouldn't suggest just casting it to a white wall. Obviously, you don't have to spend top dollar. There are some really affordable screens for only a few hundred that are still a significant upgrade over white paint. For this particular series though, I'm working with nothing projector. We're going to do a 120-inch thin frame, and I'll explain why, lenticular projector screen. It's a fixed frame screen, 120-inch. I don't need it to collapse or anything. I didn't want to deal with wrinkles. I really wanted to dial it in, get the perfect focus. So edge to edge, I get the best possible performance. Now, there are a lot of variables at play when you shop for projector screens. There's the gain, there's the color of the screen, thin frame, or a bezel around it, which can help with spillage depending on how well treated your wall is. So if you have a white wall, maybe go with a thicker bezel because it'll help kind of cut some of that glare that's next to the image when it's really bright. Because I'm going with a flat black and because I'm space constrained for what I want to put on the front wall, I went with a thin frame. Now I'll have a whole video on the projector setup, install, and then we'll eventually review the components. But the reason why I went with a thin frame screen is because I'm going to be space constrained. And as much as we'd all want the biggest screen possible, well, 120 inches, what's possible here. That's because I'm using Legends furniture on the TV console. It's not like anything super high-end or crazy. It's reasonably priced, but I also wanted the matching bookshelves on the left and right side. So I'll have a thin, low-profile bookshelf to kind of still support some of my kids' toys and make it look nice. Then we're gonna have tower speakers, the wide console, and then another bookshelf on the other side. Subwoofers are going to be placed on this wall and the back wall, so I'll be doing some in-room measurements as well on that. So that will have a nice fill for the entire thing. And again, I didn't want to go with a thick bezel frame because I wanted it to look nice and clean and be framed by that nice black paint that I'm going to be using. As far as the AV processor goes, this is kind of the heart and soul of your entire home theater system. All of the audio channels are being processed through this, and depending on how your setup is, it's likely handling the video switching as well. So you want a good receiver. I talked about room treatment, and that's a huge thing, but room correction is another huge and new feature found on newer receivers. Now, I've been using Denon in the past for years. The current one that's been in here is the AVR-X 4700H. It's a wonderful receiver. I was debating on just staying with that because I've been pretty happy with it, but I wanted to try something different just to learn. And there are many reasons behind this. One is I've been really happy with the Yamaha streamer amp I've used in the past. So for this project, we're using the Yamaha RX A8A. It's a flagship 11.2 channel receiver that has all the bells and whistles you want. The big reason why I wanted to try it is I wanted to hear the difference on the music side to see if it sounds noticeably different at all, just purely listening to music. I want to try the HDMI switching and capabilities of that, again, compared to Denon. But the big reason why is room correction. Denon's Odyssey XT and all of these advanced, the newer ones have Dirac room calibration. Those are considered some of the best room calibration options out there, but sometimes it can make things worse. And I've noticed that with Denon, even though I did the calibration, I modified a lot of the calibration myself after because I didn't always fully like the end result. So I wanted to try just someone else's room calibration, and Yamaha has YPAO. It's a different approach. I don't know if it'll give me the same results, better or worse, but I wanted to try something like that so we can just cover it in the video series. So I mentioned I'll be using tower speakers up front, and the speaker brand I'm starting with is with Focal. And Focal is sending me, or has sent me, the Aria Evo X number 3. Gorgeous fluorescent speakers. It's the second largest of that series. The number 4 is the tallest one. But the number 3, the one they sent me, is in a moss green. It has a nice dark, like glass gray top. I have the matching Aria Evo X center speaker, so of course that's really important because you want your front speakers to match timbrely, meaning that the tone of the speaker is very similar from left, center, and right. So if you have a scene that's panning across, you don't want to mix and match speakers that much, or it's going to take away some of that immersion, because you'll hear a clear separation among channels. Now, when it comes to the in-wall stuff, I wanted to go with in-wall speakers that would match very high-end front speakers. Because I plan on reviewing more speakers down the road, both for theater and 2-channel use, so there'll be more content on that, I wanted to go with a high-performance in-wall. Now, I purchased these. These are the 1000 series from Focal, and there are a variety of SKUs that they carry, depending on your needs, performance, size, etc. They have the 300 series and the 100 series as well. But because I'm cutting holes in my wall, I wanted something that even if I got like Utopia level speakers up front, I didn't want it to feel like my rear surrounds and the Atmos speakers were being, holding everything back. So with that being said, this is the ICW6. Now this guy is interesting because I'm using it for the rear Atmos speaker. Because the couch is basically closer to the back wall, directionality is something to consider with speaker placement, not just location. And the ICW6 can be installed as an in-wall or in-ceiling. Even though it's a fixed basket, meaning the driver is basically facing one direction, you can't pivot the entire basket, the tweeter does have a little bit of movement to it. So you can kind of angle that in case you want to point it at your listening position. This is great for something that the directivity is kind of pointing pretty much where you're already at, with the tweeter giving you a little bit of adjustment. But because I have in-ceiling speakers I'm putting in the front, just above the projector, let's just say about 3 feet off the wall, because I kind of spec'd how I'm placing this to kind of adhere with the degrees and projection of the speakers, like all the locations were designed to be kind of adherent to the Atmos proper placement. So this is the ICA6, which has a larger overall diameter, but you can see how drastic the speaker are angled. So the idea of this is, because I'm mounting them up front, you want the cone projecting towards the listening position, and I still get the ability to adjust the beryllium tweeter. The 1000 series uses a W cone, which is like, I think they said it's like 20 times more stiff than Kevlar, and then an actual full beryllium tweeter. It's kind of like a Focal thing. So again, this is all about getting the right speaker in the right spot, because timing, positioning, I don't want certain frequency inconsistencies as different audio effects change, or even if I'm using it for multi-channel music, etc. These bad boys are the IW6s, and it's actually designed to mount like this. So it's a fully enclosed speaker. They are not too cheap, but this thing weighs a lot, it's very robust. I like that it has the backing for a few reasons. One, depending on where you're installing these, you always have to consider the backing, if there is one or not. You also have to consider dimensions, of course, to know if the clearance of the depth of the speaker will fit where you're going. But by going with a sealed unit, you have a few advantages. One of them is it has a very consistent sound delivery from each unit. Because everything is enclosed, the volume of the wall is not going to change the sound of the speaker. So if you have a left and right, for example, and it has a very different cabinet volume, an open rear baffle in-wall will change slightly on the bass department depending on the in-wall volume. It also helps cut back with some noise, like backwave reflection. So if you're installing this into a wall and something behind it is an area that's more sensitive to sound, and you're trying to kind of contain the sound in the room you're listening to, this entire sealed unit is going to help with that. So these are going to do the rear surround duties. And then, of course, I already mentioned the in-ceiling setup I'll be doing. So that'll handle all the multi-channel stuff. And what would a home theater be without bass, and lots of it? Because when explosions happen, you kind of want to be there and be part of it. So for this, we're using the 1000F subwoofers from Focal. I'm going to be using 2 of those. It's a sealed enclosure, and they're relatively compact. Sealed subs are typically less space consuming because they don't have to deal with the ports in a different box design. So keep that in mind. I'll focus more on that when I do the Focal speaker and subwoofer videos, but that will round up the bass delivery to kind of fill in everything else that's missing from the full range speakers. And just in case, you may have noticed that I already had some speakers back here. These are Sonance speakers. They're really nice speakers. For the money, I got them at Best Buy, and I kind of left this loose just so it'd be easier to pop off. The tweeters move on this too, and these weren't bad, but I didn't want to commit to these speakers for my endgame setup. So I'll be taking these out and making the speaker hole larger to accommodate the Focal speakers. As far as the rest of the stuff goes, it's fun to do all the speaker install and the projector, but there are those little things that can serve as a distraction once in a while. And for me, because I'm kind of OCD, if I paint a wall And then this is just because it's at ear level or head level, I guess. I say ear because I'm an audio nut. This is white, and you can't just paint the outlet. So my buddy's going to be helping me with the install. His name's Mike. You're going to see in some future content. He's a certified electrician. Lucky me. I can do some of this, but he's going to make busy work of it and get it done no problem. So I'm going to be switching all of the outlets in this room, the switches, even the fixtures, the can lights. I actually purchased the replacement fixtures in black. I'll be painting the HVAC ducts in black as well. I want to get rid of all the distractions. So if I have a black wall and then I see white plugs, probably going to make me crazy. So these are all just little things to address. I'm really excited to kick off this series, and I think and I hope, based off all the planning I've done, this is going to cover me. Now, looking at the table, this is a nice like finishing piece, if you will, and these are Govee lights. This is the BR30. I looked at Hue lights, and Hue is nice. I've used them in several areas of my home, but man, the prices are getting expensive now. I think it's about $90 for 2 bulbs, and it's not just purely on the money side, but I think the Govee lights that I've used in other areas of my home have worked great, and they're a fraction of the cost. I've also heard that people that have compared both of the same bulb from Govee to Hue, they've been really happy with the Govee's color choices. The reason why I did these is because I'm not going crazy on custom lighting in this room. When I'm watching a movie, I don't want lights everywhere. To me, it's a distraction, especially when I have a projector. So with the Govee lights, because it's a smart light, I'm going to basically set a scene. And if I can use home automation for Alexa, then that will kind of kick things off to another level. But I want it so where when we're in movie mode, the front lights turn off and then the back lights fade to a faint orange glow. So this is all going to be a mix of smart switches, and you don't have to spend a lot to get kind of a custom theater feel. So we're going to focus on that when we do the lighting and final setup and everything. Now this guy, this is the RuaPro, if I'm saying it right, RuaPro 33-foot active HDMI cable. It uses fiber optics because when I'm doing a very long run, you want to make sure that you don't have signal issues, because that's quite a commitment as well. So this was sent to support the video. Huge thanks to this company for partnering up with us. The Nothing screen was sent from by Nothing to help support the content as well. So the whole point of this isn't just to review the products, but also to make a series that's helpful and educational to people. This cable I'll be talking about when we do the projector video, but the idea of this is it's USB powered on the active plug on the end. And when you go with a fiber optic cable, you're not subject to the same loss and degradation issues, because when you're dealing with 4K content, especially 4K 60, 4K 120, you're very much reliant on a quality cable connection. And if there are issues with that, well, that's going to cause artifacts, black screens, flickering, etc. And honestly, this room isn't just for me. I can troubleshoot all day, but it has to work well for my family. So we'll be reviewing that cable as well to make sure that it kind of performs the way I want. Now, you probably noticed I didn't talk about speaker wire. That's because I am not a huge advocate for snake oil type products. Now, I believe in a good quality wire, especially high performance cables on the speaker side, to adequately support what you're doing. And what I mean by that is don't buy a cheap no-name brand 22 gauge speaker wire for the Focal Aria Evo X. That's like running everything through dental floss. You want at least something thick enough, but at the end of the day, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on a cable. So my in-wall cabling, when I built this house, this is we kind of helped work with a builder to build this the way I wanted to. I ran just standard 14 gauge copper wire, just a left and right, or a positive, negative, and that's it. To make this part easier on the receiver side, these are Sewell, whatever, banana plugs, and these were just purchased. So I plan on eventually switching out components and the electronic equipment, so I'm just going to cap those on the in-wall wires, and then I have a few cables that I purchased from SVS. I have purchased AudioQuest cables. I don't think they're worth the price premium over SBS. That's just my personal take. I've used them both, but just get something that has the right length and the gauge. For huge speakers, maybe 12 gauge, but that kind of depends on the distance. I think 14 gauge is adequate for most setups, and I think you'd be pretty hard pressed to hear a difference. Okay, so this is obviously a big departure from what I normally do, but I wanted to push myself and kind of make a new series that I thought would be really fun. I'm going to document as much as I can and kind of explain some things I learned along the way, things that went great, things I would maybe do differently. And I'll be reviewing pretty much all of the products I talked about. Obviously, I'm not going to be reviewing a wall plate, But even to this level, just to let you know, I tested multiple outlets and wall plates, and it sounds stupid, but I'm really happy with the Legrand Radiant series just because the flat black finish, it's a nice, thick, robust plug. The plug consistency is good. It's little things like that. I'll share as much as I can. And again, if you saw something in the video that spawned some questions, or you just have questions I haven't even talked about in this video, shoot me a comment below. I'll be releasing this video while I do a lot of this work, so I'll be keeping my eye on the comments to help add that and answer your questions to the best I can as all of these future videos come out over this series. This entire video series is going to span about a month, and there'll be other reviews for products I normally cover coming out during that time. So this is kind of like a multitasking type effort along the way. So thank you so much for watching this. I can't wait to release the next video and show you the progress, and I'll see you at the next one. Take care.